Hello all. A wonderful morning to all the participants who have joined the webinar today. You're looking at the endpoint management solutions portfolio. So these are the list of products what we offer under endpoint management section under ManageEngine. And today I'm going to extensively talk about Mobile Device Manager Plus product. So I welcome you all for the MDM Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. My name is Ruben Karthik, and I'm associated with ManageEngine for the past 6 years. I do the training and implementation for the endpoint management section. So here is the training schedule. This is a 3-week series, and we are in the first week of the training program where I'm going to demonstrate about the device onboarding and onboarding process and provisioning. So we have made it in a way where the first week it will be about how you can onboard your devices. In second week, it will be how you can deploy certain applications and configure security policies to your device. And third week, it will be about the benefits of managing your Windows 10 and MacBook using our MDM module. And all the rest sessions will be recorded, and you'll also get the recorded training video once after the webinar is over. And in case if you wish to revisit the training program or check the question and answers discussed during the training session, and you can always visit the below mentioned URL. All right, let's see the training agenda, what I have on the store for today. So first, I'm going to give a quick overview about the Mobile Device Manager Plus product, a quick introduction about it, and the architecture and prerequisites to manage your devices. Followed by, I'll demonstrate how you can onboard the devices which are already in use, and when you have new devices and to manage them, what are the steps you need to follow. Followed by, I'll also demonstrate how we can configure certain basic policies to make the device usage ready, and how we can separate the corporate data available on the personal devices you manage. Followed by, we understand certain organizations do use their Exchange email server for corporate email purposes, and how we can secure such email access to the unauthorized devices will also be covered in the webinar today. And at the end of the training program, I will also be sharing certain real-time scenarios and the best solution, what I have faced in my support experience. Meanwhile, if you, the viewers, have any questions, you can always post it in the chat section, and I have an expert panel with me who would be able to answer your questions then and there. Let's see the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus Pro. Right? So these are the list of operating systems which you could manage using our MDM. It could be iOS, Android, Windows, and Chromebooks can also be managed within our solution. And when it comes to the device type, it could be a mobile device or a tablet, or even if you have Apple TVs or Android TVs, you can manage Surface Hub and Chromebooks. So these are the device type and the OS which can be managed within our Mobile Device Manager Plus solution. And this MDM itself is available on 3 flavors under ManageEngine. One as an add-on to the Desktop Central solution, which is available on both on-premise and cloud. So Desktop Central is a unified endpoint software using which you'll be able to manage your laptop, desktop, servers. Along with that, you'll also be able to manage your mobile devices and tablets. And in case if you're looking to manage only the smartphones and tablets in a separate standalone product, then also we do offer the standalone Mobile Device Manager Plus solution, which is available on both on-premise and cloud. And if you have any MSP audience today who's like a service provider and wants to manage devices from different companies, then we also have this MDM MSP. The feature-wise is going to remain the same between the standalone MDM and the MSP. Only the UI will differ, where you can choose the appropriate customer information and then apply policies to it, which I'll also be explaining or demonstrating in the upcoming slides. And we understand as an administrator would like to work on different applications and also would like to integrate with as many applications as possible in order to manage the administration task easy. So that's why we offer our MDM to integrate with our own ticketing software called ManageEngine Service Desk Plus. And in case if you like to integrate with any other third-party ticketing softwares like Spicework, Jira Service Desk, ServiceNow, and Zendesk, you do have an option to integrate within our MDM product. And we also offer an integration with our own client relationship management software called Zoho CRM, and also the Zoho Creator application using which you'll be able to build certain apps and dashboards based on the business need you have. And in case if you'd like to integrate with any application, anything outside this box, you do have the publicly available API details using which you can also perform an integration. And when it comes to the MDM architecture, be it any solution that will follow a universal architecture to manage all your devices. So there are three major components which plays a role in managing a device using any MDM solution. First, the MDM server. Second, the notification services. And third, the end device itself. So these are the three major components which plays a role. When you have an on-premise MDM server, you need to make sure the server is accessible to the devices to contact and perform any configurations. Let's say to understand the architecture in a better way, let's take an example. As an admin, I would like to find out the locations of an iPhone. So what I'll do, I'll log into the MDM console. I will initiate the command called locate device, which in turn will be sent to the notification services first. So if it is an Apple device, the MDM server will send this notification to the Apple push notification service, which in turn will receive this command, and using the device UDID or the IMI unique number, it will wake up the device. So once the device gets wake up, it will contact the MDM server to know what configurations to process. So in this example, the location command will be received, and this will perform this command and send the coordinates to back to the MDM server, which as an admin, I'll be able to view it in the map. That's how the communication or the architecture workflow will be. So whatever command you initiate, that will be sent to the notification services. So for Apple, it will be Apple push notification service. And for Android, it will be Firebase cloud messaging service. And for Windows, it will be Windows notification services. So these are the services which will receive the command from the MDM solution and wake up the device to contact the server. So if you go with on-premise solution, you might need to make sure the MDM server is accessible to all your devices. So be it any network they connect on, the MDM server should be accessible. And in case if you're not okay with exposing your internal MDM server, then you do have an additional or an optional component called secure gateway server, which will act like relay between the MDM and your devices. So whatever connection happens through the internet will be received by the secure gateway server, and this will redirect the communication internal to MDM and route it back. If you go with a cloud-based solution, then the MDM instance is already available on the cloud in our data center, and the notification services are also available on the internet. The only thing you need to make sure is the device needs to have internet connection, either with the home Wi-Fi or mobile data. If they're connected to any internet source, then you'd be able to manage them. So when it comes to on-premise, these are the list of ports which needs to be allowed in the network. So for devices to contact the MDM server, it will use the secure HTTPS port called 9383. And for the server to notification services will go through 443. And device to notification services will happen through 5223 for iOS and 5228 series for Android. So in order to know more about the inbound and outbound port information, you can even visit the below mentioned URL. And you might, as we saw in the architecture itself, the solution also follows the client and server model. So meaning you need to have a source installed on all your devices in order to contact the MDM server, right? So when it comes to Android device, you need to necessarily have the MDM application deployed in all the devices you're going to manage. But when it comes to iOS, Windows, or Chromebook, you don't need to necessarily have the MDM app deployed. But we just leverage the native OS client available on these devices, and you just need to deploy the MDM profile on it. So that's what I'm going to explain in this particular webinar today. So what are the different types through which you can onboard your devices into the management scope? So before I give you the process of enrollment, let me take you to the product console and show you how the MDM looks like and what are the tabs and features we have available within the solution. So this is how the MDM console will look like, where under the home section, you can check what are the device type you manage, the OS-wise split up, and the app summary and the last contact details about the devices. And as an admin, you'll also be able to see or check the audit log information. So what are the actions being done by the different technicians. If you have a role-based administration, you do have the audit log details in updated under the home tab itself. And in case if you'd like to check about the Android devices you have, and you can just click on this link, which will automatically take you to the inventory section and list down the Android devices alone here. So it automatically applies a filter and lists down only the Android devices. So not to show the options available under the inventory tab, so this gives you the list of devices you manage and the basic details about it. So as an admin, we can choose the required columns to be displayed under the inventory devices section, which might also be helpful for auditing purposes, where an admin can export these details in a PDF, CSV, or XLS format and use it for auditing purposes. And location data gives you the current locations of all the devices you manage in a single map. And list of apps deployed on your devices can also be seen here, through which you can also select and block certain applications from usage. And device management is where you do the management activities like creating groups for your devices and creating profiles and policies to apply to the devices you manage, and add required applications and distribute. Like this, you can do the basic management activities from this section. And enrollment is where you onboard your devices, and there are a couple of enrollment methods we have, which I'll be explaining in detail in the upcoming slide. Under report section, you'll be able to check certain predefined reports, like the list of apps deployed on the devices and what are the apps being detected newly on the device and on your network, and also security-based report. If you would like to know what are the jailbroken devices being reported to your MDM server, can also be seen by just clicking on these options. So these are certain predefined reports we have. In case if you want to build your own report, you do have an option to create it here. At the same time, if you want to schedule them, let's say an admin might wish to get the list of apps being installed on the devices on a weekly or monthly basis. So what they can do, they can go to the scheduled reports, create a report on newly detected applications or recently installed apps. You can give a name and choose the app filters here. You can choose the required applications here itself and choose the frequency. Let's say I would like to get this on a weekly basis. Every Friday morning, I want to check these reports at 11 o'clock. So I'll just choose the appropriate day and time, and then you'll be able to choose the email address to which the report has to be sent. And not just that, you can also choose the required format. Say I don't want to get it as an attachment, want this to be sent as a link, where I can just click on the link and I can view the report on the website itself. Like this, if you want to get a published MDM server URL, you do have an option for it. And under admin tab, you can do the administration's action, like you can create roles and users and define it to them. And if you wish to rebrand your own company logo instead of ManageEngine, you do have this option here. And if you would like to know permissions being defined or the recent actions being performed on the device, you do have audit log details here and the integration section. So these are the options which we have under our MDM. And this is how the desktop central console will look like, where you could do the basic management activities for computers like patching and deploying software and remotely connecting to your laptops. Along with that, you'll also be able to manage your mobile devices within this. So this MDM module is also available within the desktop central solution. So you have all-in-one UI. Right. So in order to demonstrate about the enrollment process in an easy way, let's take, I'm an admin and I work for an organization called Zilker. So my management have requested me to enroll the devices which are already in use. These might be for field technicians. They do have devices already on hand. How I can onboard them is what I'm going to show first, followed by how we can onboard the devices which are newly purchased by your organization. So this is the task which I would have, basically every MDM admin would have when they would like to start managing the devices using a solution. So first, let me demonstrate how we could manage the devices which are already in use. And there are two options available, one by sending an invitation, either an SMS invite or an email invite, through which the users can accept the invite and register the devices with an MDM. If not, a self-enrollment, where the users can bring their own devices into the portal. And when to use these methods, like either with email invite or self-enrollment, is if the devices are personally or employee's own device, then you might need to choose this option. And if it's a corporate owned personal enable, where you will only be going to manage the corporate space on the devices, then you can opt it. And say if you're planning to migrate from another MDM solutions to our ManageEngine and they don't want to factory reset the device, then you can opt for these methods. And benefits of going through this email or self-enrollment technique is it isolates the personal and corporate data or applications by default. So when it comes to iOS or Apple devices, you'll not be able to literally see any difference on the UI, but it will be a virtual container where the users, when they try to copy any documents from the work applications to personal application, then is where the restrictions will come into picture. But when it comes to Android devices, the users will literally be able to see a separate workspace created on the phones, like I've just shown it in the right-hand side image. So you will have a separate work space created on the Android devices. And so whenever you could see a Chrome browser, which has a briefcase icon, which depicts that it is a work application, and you could see a personal browser also here. So this will be a benefit when you onboard the devices which are already in use, or if it's a personal employee's own phone or a BYOD device, if you wish to register with our ManageEngine MDM. So this is how the UI would look like. And another benefit is you can prevent the unauthorized data access on the corporate workspace created on the phones. You can separately create a password policy to access the work applications being deployed. And also you can restrict the file sharing between applications or also between the devices, and you can make sure the data breach doesn't happen. And first, let me show you how we can enroll them through the email invite. And this is the normal workflow where an admin can create an invite and send it to the user. And the user just needs to click on the invitation or scan the QR code, which will download the MDM profile or applications on the device, through which the device will get registered within the MDM console. Let me take you to the product console and show you how we can send an email invitation. You can click on the enrollment section here, and the one which you see on the top, enroll devices, is the method which you can choose for sending an email invitation. So here it gives you the manage device counts and states and enrollment pending. These are the 3 tabs which you will see under the devices section, and also you will understand the difference or about these options mentioned here. So first, to send an email invite, you can go to the devices section, enroll device, and an invitation depends on the operating system again. So if you want to send an invite to an Android user, you might need to choose the Android OS here. If it comes to an iOS device, you might need to go with iOS or iPad OS. And moreover, in order to manage an Apple device, you need to have the APNS certificate registered within your MDM console. So this is a mandatory step in order to manage Apple devices. So without APNS, you'll not be able to onboard any Apple devices to your ManageEngine MDM console. This is mandatory because Apple wants to make sure your MDM instance is registered with their Apple site. Only then they will let you to manage any of the Apple devices you're going to manage here. So since I've already integrated, you would see an UI like this. If you haven't integrated, you will see something like this, where when you click on enrollment APNS certificate option, you will have a 3-step procedure here. So if you have a corporate Apple ID, then you just need to click on sign in and use your corporate Apple ID to sign into the Apple push notification portal. If not, you can create a new Apple ID using this above option. By providing the corporate email address you have, you can create an account. Once that is done, you can download the certificate from our file. This is just going to be a 2-way handshake. You download the vendor signed certificate CSR file from our solution, upload it to the APNS portal and get it signed. That's all. Once after you click on next, you can log into the portal, click on create a certificate and choose the where you can accept the terms and condition option here. Then you can upload the file, the CSR file, which you have downloaded from our MDM solution. So after uploading the file, you can just click on upload section, which automatically registers the device or sign the certificate. And once the certificate is signed, you can just download it and re-upload back to our MDM console. So you downloaded the CSR from our solution, upload it in APNS, get it signed, and then you re-upload back here, just like a 2-way handshake. Once this is done, then your MDM instance is good to go where you can start onboarding devices. So this is how the UI would look like. And in order to send an email invitation, you can go to the devices section here, enroll device, choose iOS or iPad. And if in case we have the devices with you on hand, you can choose this option called by myself. If not, you can send the user's invite. If you know the user's email address, you can just search for the email ID here. And you can choose whether it is a personal or corporate device. And if you want to automatically assign this, let's say this user belongs to the marketing department, you can just select this way and send an enrollment invite. So automatically, whatever app or whatever policy is being deployed to this group will also be applied to this user who enrolls the device through this. And you can also choose the email template. So what are the options to be available or allowed on the devices? And however, when you click on send an enrollment invite, so this is how the invite would look like. So where the users will either get an option to scan a QR code, if not click on this URL. So when you click on the URL or scan this QR code, that will automatically download the MDM profile. And once the profile is downloaded, you need to click on install and provide the OTP number to register the devices. So if you would like to see how the UI would look like on the user end, so once after scanning the QR code or click on the URL, the users would see something like this, where it states the MDM profile installation page will come up, and the user has to click on continue and allow this profile, and the profile will be downloaded. Once that is downloaded, you need to go and verify under the settings section. Make sure this is the MDM profile which you intend to install on the device end, and then you click on install, making sure that you trust this management source and provide the OTP number. That's it. This is how you register the device through an email invite. This would be the same process for an Android or a Windows device through which you send an email invitation. Okay, you go to the enrollment devices section. If it is iOS, you would see this option. If it's an Android device, you can click on Android and you can choose the appropriate user's email address and send an invitation to them. And as I said in the beginning, so the enrollment pending request will list here. But since the OTP is valid only for 7 days, the user has to complete the enrollment within 7 days from the invite sent time. And moreover, these invites are specific to an individual user and the operating system. This is what I want to make sure you about the email invitation process. And you can check the enrollment pending status here. So the invite which I sent here just get listed as yet to enroll. In case if the user haven't completed the enrollment within 7 days, you would also get the message as request expired. So in case if I go and enroll the devices using the invite which I got, then this would go under the manage section. This is how you send an email invite and get registered the devices within the MDM. And then we have self-enrollment, where a common URL can be published to all the users, and the users, be it an iOS device or an Android device or Windows device, the users can go to the common URL, app or profile accordingly based on the OS, and then user has to provide their AD credentials to authenticate. Because when it comes to an email invite, you, the administrator, are pointing out to the users to register the device. But when it comes to self-enrollment, this is where you have this option where a common URL can be shared across all the users, and the users can access this link from any browser they have on the device, which will download the app or profile. And then based on the authentication you've configured here, so you can either allow the self-enrollment technique to all your Active Directory groups. So we have the integration supported for different type of directory services. You can integrate with on-premise AD or Azure AD or Okta service, if not G Suite account. So these are the directory services which we offer under the ManageEngine solution. And you can let the users, maybe all the use groups available within your directory service, if not only to selected groups. So when you go with this particular option, selected groups, so only the user who you've configured here can only enroll the devices themselves. And also you can limit the devices. Let's say one user can only register 2 devices using this particular technique, because the user might have a smartphone or a tablet and they would like to register within the solution, then you can keep the count as 2. And moreover, you would also get a notification. You can mention the administrator's email address here, through which the admin will be notified when a user try to onboard the devices themselves through self-enrollment. And automatically, let's say when an Android user tries to register the devices themselves using the self-enrollment URL, I would like to map them to the contractors group. So whatever policies or applications being deployed to this group will also be applied to the user who registered the devices through the self-enrollment URL. And the main purpose, like I said, about the integration of Active Directory services are because any user, whoever has access to this URL, can register the devices, which in turn they will get access to the corporate workspace created on the device and also applications and document which can also be published to them. That is why we want to make sure only the registered device users can use the self-enrollment URL and register the phones within the MDM. So you can either allow that to apply for all the groups or all the users within your directory service, if not only the selected groups. And the method, whatever you see on the top section, either with self-enrollment or by sending an email invite, these are the methods which are ideal for a personal BYOD devices. Devices which are already in use, which you don't want to do a factory reset and want to provision them with an MDM, you can go with these process, either with sending an invite based on the operating system and user, if not self-enrollment. And when it comes to self-enrollment, after the user clicks on this URL, that will automatically download the app and they can choose the appropriate method, either it's a cloud MDM server or on-premise, based on which they can provide the details. And then is where they need to provide their AD username and password to authenticate. So once that is done, the device gets registered with an MDM. That's it. So in case if you have any questions or doubts related to onboarding the devices which are already in use, then you can feel free to post them in the chat. Our panel team can help you with it. And now I'm going to demonstrate how we can onboard the new devices through our MDM solution. And as we know, when it comes to a new device, the initial device setup has to be manually done by the users. If not, an admin or user intervention is required for onboarding or enrolling the devices, right? So that's why we have this automated enrollment process within managing an MDM. So for Apple, we provide Apple Business Manager. And for Android, we have Zero Touch Enrollment and Knox Mobile Enrollment. So these methods, I would say it is over the air because you don't need to necessarily keep the devices in hand. You just need to know the device serial number through which you can activate the MDM profile on them. And the benefits of onboarding the devices through these methods are, it gives you a full support for all the profiles and configurations available on the device. Because when it comes to an email or a self-enrollment, only the workspace can be managed by an admin, not the entire device. But when you go with the automated method, you can completely configure or manage the devices. You can lock any settings on the phone, be it camera or any settings like FaceTime. If you wish to lock these features on the devices, you'll be able to do. And also, you have the options to silently deploy applications on the devices without the user intervention. And you can also whitelist app. Let's say I do have certain point of sale devices, and I want my users to use only these applications on the device, and then you can go with this particular approach. And also, you can manage the OS update. So whenever there is a new update being released by Apple or Google, I want to make sure I want to test it before I apply to all the devices. Then you do have an option to control the OS update on the corporate on new devices, through which you enroll through the automated techniques. And as a prerequisite, you must need to have an account with Apple or Google or Samsung to onboard the devices automatically through these methods. And the devices has to be purchased directly from the store, if not from the authorized resellers. And we'll discuss about that in detail in the upcoming slides. And this is the automated enrollment workflow. You need to integrate your MDM server with these portals, either Apple Business Manager portal or Google Zero Touch portal or Knox portal. You need to integrate your MDM server with these portals and then add the devices and distribute the MDM profile on them. So first, let me show you how we can onboard the Apple devices through Apple Business Manager. So you can go to the enrollment section. Under Apple enrollment, you can see the list of steps needs to be done in order to integrate your MDM with ABM portal. So in case if you don't have an ABM account, you can click on sign up and configure the details. Let me So I've already integrated my MDM instance with an ABM. So in case if we haven't, we can just click on add server details and download the certificate. In case if you don't have an ABM portal, you can also click on sign up and provide your business details to create an ABM account. In case if you already have one, then you can just click on sign in. And once after you sign into your ABM portal, you can go to the settings section, device management settings, and add your MDM server. This is ultimately, again, a two-way handshake where you're going to get the certificate file from our solution. So you're just going to download the public key from here and then sign into the ABM portal and add the server details and upload the key downloaded here. So let's say you can go to ABM portal. This is how it looks like. You can go to the device management settings and click on add MDM server. Provide the MDM server name as per your business requirement, and then upload the file which you have downloaded from our MDM solution. So you can just download the file and upload it in this particular section. Once that is uploaded, you can just click on save, which will provide an option to download this token from the ABM portal. So you downloaded the key from our MDM, upload it in the ABM site, which generates an S token. So you can download the token here and upload it back onto our MDM console. Once after you upload the file here, you can go to the device activation settings and choose how you wish to activate the new devices, the new Apple devices, or iPhones, or iPad, or MacBook, which you're going to put here from the Apple Store. So you can choose how you want to activate devices using our MDM. Whether you want to let the users to activate the device, or just you're going to do it remotely through the admin section. Then you can just click on admin option here. And also skip the required assistant settings, whichever you feel convenient. Like I don't want my users to configure Touch ID or location service manually by them. Maybe I would go with skip all these settings and then click on create. So that's how you can integrate your MDM with Apple Business Manager portal, where you can see the server information and list of devices being onboarded. Once after the integration is done, you can go to the device management settings and update the Apple customer number or reseller IDs here. So in case if you're purchasing the devices from the Apple Store directly, then you can get the Apple customer number from the store itself, and you can update those information here. If not, say you're purchasing the devices from the authorized resellers, then you can also get the reseller ID and mention here. The main reason of updating these details are when it comes to reseller or Apple Store, they will automatically upload the device information to your ABM account. And moving forward, let's say now you have certain devices and you activate it. And after a year or two, you are procuring more devices. And if you're purchasing from the same Apple Store or resellers, then they will automatically upload the device information to your ABM portal, and the device will be registered with the MDM. So as an admin, you don't have to redo any of this device activation steps again. The device will already be registered with the MDM. The end user just needs to turn it on. Anyway, so once after you update these information, you can go to the devices section under ABM, and you can search or select the required devices and click on edit device management and choose the appropriate MDM server for which you want to assign this device to. So here I will choose my organization called Zilker SFO, and I will click on continue, which makes the device registered with the MDM instance which I created. So this is how you can integrate and activate the MDM profile on the devices through the ABM portal. And on the device end, so let's say this would be out of the box enrollment, or say even over the air enrollment. So the end user just need to turn on the device and connect the device to a network, because if it's a new device, when you turn it on, it will ask the users to choose the country and language, and then it would prompt the users to connect to Wi-Fi. Once after they connect it to, it will automatically start to validate, and the MDM profile will be registered within the device. And the users will never have an option to skip the settings, because by default the devices will have the MDM profile deployed. That's it. So this is how you can onboard multiple devices through the ABM portals. And moreover, you don't need to do any steps manually on the device end. It's like over the air. All you have to do is integrate your MDM instance with ABM portal and go to the devices section under ABM portal, and then assign the appropriate MDM server information and register the devices. And when it comes to zero touch enrollment method for Android, so before I explain about the Android step, this is how the ABM portal would look like. So you can go to the settings section, device management settings, and you can add the MDM server information and upload the key details, which I just demonstrated sometime before. And under the devices section, you can choose the list of devices. So these device information will be automatically approved or uploaded by the Apple Store or resellers, through which you can just need to select the required devices and edit the device management and choose the appropriate MDM server you wish to map it to. That's it. This is how you activate the devices through ABM portal. And for the Android devices, you have zero touch enrollment. And like how Apple offers the ABM portal, same way Google also offers Google zero touch portal. With the help of your reseller, you can create an account and you need to configure these details. Let's say this is how the zero touch portal would look like. So you can go to the configuration section, click on this plus sign and add your own configuration or the MDM configuration which you're looking for. So all you need to do is just make sure you update the appropriate DPC token details here. So this is the DPC extras which is mentioned here, which has this MDM server details and the port number used for communication. Likewise, you just need to copy these details and update it on the Google Zero Touch portal and create a configuration. That's it. Once after the configuration is created, you can go to the devices section and select the list of devices the resellers have uploaded to the Zero Touch portal. Select the device and assign it to the appropriate configurations you have created. That's it. And on the user end, the end users just need to turn on the Android device they have, and automatically it will set up the work account. And as you can see, the users will never have an option to skip it. They should always have an option to accept and continue. And once they click on this option, it set up the work account and the device will be enrolled successfully. So this is how you can onboard the Android devices through this method. And for Samsung devices, Samsung offers the separate portal like how ABM and Google offers the Knox portal. So you can create an account for Knox here, and you can go to the Knox portal and choose the device IMEI or serial number and apply to the appropriate MDM profile you created. So again, we have this JSON data and APK details which has to be provided. So these three methods are considered to be the over-the-air enrollment technique, through which you can remotely activate the MDM profile on the devices. So to give a quick recap on the enrollment methods discussed on this webinar, so you have two methods for the devices which are already in use, either a BYOD device, if not, even though it's company owned, but the devices are already being distributed and there is no way you can format the phone and provision them again, then you can follow the email invite or SMS invite technique, if not the self-enrollment. And for the corporate devices, either new device or corporate owned device where you can format and then provision them, these are the enrollment methods we have. Like for iOS, we have ABM and Maple configurator. For Android, we have NFC, Knox, and EMM token. So to put it simple, so whatever methods mentioned under the Apple division and Android division, these are the methods for corporate owned devices, or say new devices, the devices which are new and which you would like to take complete access, like silent app deployment, controlling OS update, whitelisting applications, and remotely controlling the devices. So if you'd like to manage the full profile or configurations on the devices, then you might need to make sure the devices has to be either new. If not, you need to format the device and provision them. Because you have to do it from the scratch, only then you get the complete access. If you go with the methods which is mentioned on the top section, either with email invite or self-enrollment, and those methods are ideal for the personal or the device which are already in use, which will create a corporate workspace, and only that can be managed by an admin, not the entire device itself. Okay, so in case if you would like to have a one-on-one session with our technicians and implement the solution on your end, we do provide a free online demo, so you can even comment in the chat section to register of the available timings and schedule a demo session with our team. If not, you can also request for the appropriate URLs. Else, you can also go to the enrollment section, devices, where you can also find certain quick links here. So how to enroll a device. You can click on this and know the methods and process to enroll your devices. So now I have shown you about the device enrollment process. Now let me demonstrate how we can provision certain basic policies to your devices like passcode or Wi-Fi or VPN configurations on the device end. So I've registered the devices with our MDM now. And in order to apply profiles, you can go to the device management section. And this is where you can create groups and you can see the list of devices you manage as well. Creating a group would be beneficial because instead of you selecting the devices every now and then to apply a policy or an application, you can create a group based on the need. Either if you want to create a group based on the devices or user specific, because sometimes the user might have a couple of devices under him. So if you want to apply a policy to a user, then you do have user-based group. If not, you can also enable a group sync. If you've already grouped your devices or users under Active Directory, you can also enable the sync. And then in order to apply certain basic policies, let me create two profiles side by side. So one, the Apple devices, where I will show you how we can configure certain. And for Android, I create another profile. So you do have this quick options here. Instead of going to profiles and create a one, you can just click on this quick option like this, and you have this create new option and choose Android profile. That automatically takes you to this section, and you can create an Android new profile. So first comes the passcode. This is the first level of security which we can apply to all the devices to prevent the data breaches. So as an admin, I would like to keep the passcode of at least 4-digit or let's say 6-digit passcode onto my devices. Then you can choose the passcode length to be at least 6-digit. And if you want to include any special characters, you do have an option here. And moreover, if anyone tries to unlock the devices by providing a wrong passcode more than 6 times consecutively, then the device will automatically reset. The users will also get a prompt like stating you only have 4 attempts remaining, 3 attempts remaining, and then automatically resets if all the attempts has been exceeded. And moreover, I want to make sure the users change their password every 3 months. So I would create an Apple profile based on the password options available based on the operating system. And for Android, you have an option to either choose a pattern lock or a number lock, or even give access to fingerprint or iris scanning. If you want to restrict these options, you do have an option like this. And if you'd like to configure this password policy to the entire device or only to the work profile created, especially this would be applicable for a BYOD device. So as an admin, I want to lock my devices, the work profile only with a number pin. I want to go with 4-digit number pin in order to unlock any of the work applications. And I will choose the second option like this and apply to the devices. On the user end, when it comes to iOS device, if the passcode is not configured as per the norms I've created, like say with the minimum passcode of 6-digit, then the users will get a prompt like this, like they need to configure the password within 60 minutes from the published time. If in case of the user already has, it's like a user might have a 7-digit passcode, then they would not receive prompts like this. And for Android, you would see, like I said, if you want to configure the profile only, passcode policy only to the work profile, then only if a user tries to open any of the work application, only then they have to provide the 4-digit passcode as per the policy I've created. So you can create a policy like this and save this policy and then publish it to the devices. So once after you publish the policy, you can go to the groups and devices section, select the appropriate group or a device. I would recommend you to select a device first. Let's say I want to choose based on the OS. So it's better to select the device and then associate the profile just for testing. Make sure the profile works fine on 1 or 2 devices, and then you can go ahead and deploy to all the devices you manage. Okay, this is how we can test it. Once the profile seems to work fine, then you can go to groups and devices, select all users or groups, and then associate the profile which you deployed now. And moreover, moving forward, whenever a new user gets added to this particular group, automatically whatever policies or whatever applications you deployed will also be configured or applied to this newly added member. So this is how you can create a passcode policy and apply it to your devices. Meanwhile, not just with passcode, as a business requirement, I want to configure Wi-Fi to my users, then I will just go with configuring the Wi-Fi policy like this. I want to make sure the device users get connected automatically. This is one profile. And I want to configure work profile too. So you can provide the Wi-Fi SSID here and choose the appropriate type of passcode policies you're using. And in case of the device not able to connect within this network, it will also have another additional options like this. So you can choose multiple Wi-Fi profile and apply it to the devices you manage. And VPN, even since after this remote work from home scenarios came out of the picture, you can also, the usage of VPN clients is also came out. So you can remotely configure any of these VPN clients you have and just provide the VPN or the server name and the identified details you're using and remotely apply it to the devices. And we do have per app VPN. So I don't want to configure this VPN to the entire device. So only when my users use Outlook, I want to apply this policy, then you can just choose the appropriate application and choose the appropriate VPN you're going to use. So automatically, when a user tries to open this application, it will be connected to this VPN profile, where you can apply certain restrictions and firewall rules. And moreover, you do have an option to configure custom configuration settings to your Apple devices. So if in case if there are certain administrators where you have already created certain settings and policies on your Apple configurator and you've been managing it for so long, and if you find it difficult to recreate those settings through our MDM solution, then you do have an option to upload the custom configuration profile here and deploy it to all your Apple devices. But we will recommend only the policies which is not available with our payload, like the options, whatever you see on the left-hand side. If you're not able to apply any of these settings, then you can go with the custom configuration. If not, the payloads, whichever it is available under the profile itself, should be sufficient for the management activities. And so these are Android-specific policies which you can define, and these are iOS or Apple policies which you can deploy to your end devices. And now I'm going to demonstrate how we can secure the corporate data available on the personal devices. As we know, the data breach might happen between devices. The users might transfer corporate files or documents from the managed device to unmanaged application through AirDrop or Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. So you have to restrict that. And between application itself, they can share the corporate application to the personal applications too. If not, when they try to upload the files on certain third-party data storage services, even there, the hackers might get the corporate data being uploaded. So as an MDM solution, we offer certain policies where you can prevent these kind of data breaches from your managed devices. So for that, you can go to the profiles again. For Android, you have the options to restrict the devices connecting to Bluetooth, always off. Bluetooth pairing can be restricted, and even sharing the files through NFC can be restricted, network and roaming. I want to make sure the device is connected to the Wi-Fi only, which is distributed through our MDM. So I can just go and choose this option. They'll not be able to configure, or they'll not be able to configure any of the Wi-Fi. They only have the options to connect to the Wi-Fi, whatever it has been distributed here. So you need to select the appropriate restriction. So as you even saw now, so you must need to save this payload before you jump on to any of their settings. So if not, the profile has to be reapplied, or you need to reconfigure these settings. You need to choose the appropriate option based on the business need. And by default, for an Android device, the users will not be able to transfer file from the work applications to personal application. But for iOS device, you might need to specifically configure this particular settings. So you need to go to Apple profile, go to security section under restriction, and prevent this option, sharing the data from managed applications to unmanaged app. This has to be restricted. And likewise, even if you want to prevent data from unmanaged app to managed, then also you do have this option like this. you need to save this profile and then apply this profile to all your Apple devices. Only then the users will not be able to share files within the same device itself. And you can also restrict the network settings and device functionality level where I don't want users to use the AirDrop for sharing files, then you can restrict this option here. Likewise, the restrictions tabs helps you to apply configure based on the business requirement you have. And once after you apply the policy like this, as you could see, before you containerize or before you apply this restriction, when a user tries to open a document or even a work application, then they would have the options to choose even personal applications to open the attached document. But after applying the containerization, only the work app, whichever you distributed, the administrator distributes through our MDM will only be listed when the user tries to open any attachment from the work application being deployed. And now for the emails, so we do offer conditional email policies in order to in order to secure your corporate email access on the unmanaged applications or unmanaged devices. So that you can go to the device management section and configure the exchange policy like this. And the workflow will be, you need to integrate your MDM instance with the exchange server and then configure the policies, which will make sure only the registered devices can access the corporate email account you configure. If any user tries to sign into your corporate email account without the MDM profile, then they will be kicked out. So that's how you can enforce a policy. Let me show you how you can do that. So ignore the device management settings and go to the conditional access exchange option, where you can provide your exchange server details. Either if you're using Exchange Online or Office 365, you can provide the details here. In case if you're using Exchange on-premise server, then you do have an option to choose the appropriate details and update the username and password for Exchange on-premise server. And then you can go to the access policy to configure. So when it comes to configuring the access policy, either you can apply this policy to all your users, if not only to the selected users. So when you go with selected user concept, so whichever user names you update under this section, for them only the MDM profile is mandatory. For example, if I choose these two users alone, then if these MDM Zilker user or MDM2 user tries to sign into my Office account without the MDM profile, then they'll be kicked out. They will get a message stating that as per the corporate policy, the device registered with the MDM can only access your mailbox. So you need to access the self-enrollment URL to register your devices. But if you go with all the users, so be it any user who tries to access your Office or on-premise Exchange server needs to have the MDM profile deployed. So that's how the exchange policy will come into the picture here. So if you choose all users, all the users whoever tries to access your email server needs to have the MDM profile deployed. If not, they will have the self-enrollment URL to register the devices. And also, as an admin, you'll be able to check the device details here. So you can see the device state, access state, whether you've allowed or if this device or the device are not enrolled, but still they are in the grace period and the restrictions will be stopped within certain time. Then you can see the device access state and also the enrollment status here. So which makes sure only the registered devices can access to your corporate email account. All right, we'll come to the end of the training where I'm going to share certain real-time scenarios and what I've faced in my support experience. Meanwhile, if you, the viewers, have any question, please feel free to post them in the chat. And first scenario I would like to say is it possible to enroll the devices which are not purchased from a reseller or from the Apple store directly, but still it's a corporate-owned Apple device. I want to take complete access, and since it is not purchased, obviously the Apple Business Manager enrollment process would not work. For that, we have this Apple enrollment technique where you can connect your iPad or iPhones to an Apple configurator, so to a MacBook which has the Apple configurator 2.0 and above, and then you need to provision the devices. So you would have an option where you can choose, like allow the devices to to ABM. So you have this option, add device to enrollment program, and you can follow this on-screen instruction mentioned under the Apple configurator section, through which you can connect to your iPhone or iPad and then provision them as a supervised device. But as a difference, I would say Apple enrollment is over the app. So you just need to know the device serial number. You can activate the MDM profile. But when it comes to Apple configurator, this will even supervise the device, but you need to physically have the device on hand and then provision them through a MacBook as Apple configurator. In the same scenario, I want to leverage the benefits of zero-touch enrollment, but some of the Android devices does not support this method. So how to enroll them, how to take complete access over it. It's what I said before. The methods, whatever mentioned under the Android division, is all for corporate-owned devices. So either you can go with EMM token in case if it's a brand new device which is above 9.0, or if you can factory reset the device from the scratch. If you just tap the screen 6 times, that will open a code scanner, and scanning this QR code will register the device. If it is Android version less than 9.0, then after you do a factory reset, or if it's a new device, you need to choose the country and language and connect the device to Wi-Fi, which in turn will bring up to this Google account page. So here, instead of mentioning your Google account details, you can mention this code called AFW/MEMDM. This is our own device provisioning token that is for Android for work #ManageEngine MDM. So you can just click on next, which will give you an option either to scan the QR code or choose the server details and provide the information to authenticate. If you choose scan QR code, then you must need to scan this particular QR code to register the devices. If not, you can go with NFC method, where you can even use the near field communication feature to onboard the devices. You have the ManageEngine NFC enrollment app available on Play Store. So you can install this app on your phone and bump the client devices to onboard. And zero touch and Knox is what over the air enrollment methods for other Android devices. And third scenario, what will happen if two contradictory profiles are applied? Say in one profile you restricted camera, and the second profile you enabled it. And what will happen if you deploy the two profiles to a device? So when it comes to Android, the latest profile will take its precedence, meaning initially you might have restricted camera, then after a week, by mistake, if you've allowed this permission and then deployed to your devices, then the camera functionality will be enabled. But when it comes to iOS or Apple devices, the most stringent policy will come into picture. So meaning even though you restricted camera on the first profile and allowed it on the second one, but still the camera option will be disabled when it comes to Apple devices. So in order to enable, you must need to go and modify the first profile and do it for Apple devices. But when it comes to Android, the latest profile will take its precedence. And scenario 4, how to ensure my device is connected to the Wi-Fi only, which is distributed through MDM. I don't want my users to connect to any open source Wi-Fi for security reasons. Then you could go to the device management again. Remember, I just showed you the option again. So you can go to this restriction, network and roaming, connect to the devices only which is distributed through MDM. So the users will not be able to connect to any other Wi-Fi apart from the one you distribute through our solution. And how to prevent the sensitive corporate content from being displayed on the device lock screen. Yes, this would be a major request, which I've been getting on the support experience lately. So I don't want the users or the users to see the content being displayed on the notification screen, like the manager have sent an email about this or a text message. Likewise, if you don't want to display the content details, then you can go to the restrictions option, security restriction, lock screen notification preference, and here is where you can hide the sensitive content, which will just get a message like a mail received, a notification received on WhatsApp, likewise, but will not say which user or what message been deployed or displayed on the screen. You can hide it. If not, you can choose to not show the notifications at all. So only when the user opens the app, they could see those details. And sixth scenario, so we are already using another MDM solution. Is it possible to have both the MDM profile on the same device? No, so you can only have one MDM profile deployed on the device. And is it possible to migrate the devices from one MDM solution to another and to our ManageEngine MDM? Yes, indeed, we do have started supporting device migration now. So when it comes to Android devices, without losing any data, we'll be able to migrate it. And like you still have the device owner capabilities with certain procedure. You can even come into the chat section if you want to know the process of it. And for Apple devices, if you're not okay with doing a reset, then you can follow the email invite or self-enrollment technique. So there is also a possible way where you can migrate your devices to our ManageEngine MDM without losing any of the data. This is an help article asset. So you have an option to choose the appropriate device type and the process which is mentioned here. So without resetting the device, or if you wish to do a reset and then provision them, you can see the features available too. So these are the couple of scenarios which I've been getting on the support experience lately, so which I felt like sharing it on the webinar today. So meanwhile, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat, or if you'd like to have a one-on-one session with our technical team, you can also update your available timing in the chat section where our team can help you with scheduling the call. And that's it. We have come to the end of the training. Please rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, and 5 is the best. And if you like a training program, please spread a word using the hashtag mobile device manager plus or /ManageEngine, and with the social media platform, since we're all connected on these platforms these days, you can even use the hashtags to spread your love. And next week, it will be about the app management and device security provisioning on 1st December. And we'll have 2 sessions, one at 6:30 GMT and 11:30 Eastern Time, where we'll discuss about how we can install, uninstall, and upgrade applications and configure certain security policies through our MDM. And I thank everyone for joining the webinar and this is schedule, and I request everyone to take care and stay safe. Thank you.